Hello, I'm Catherine Fury, Rear Commodore at Sandringham Yacht Club. It's my very great pleasure today to be speaking with Philip Strong, past Off the Beach captain and life member of Sandringham Yacht Club. Welcome, Phil.
Yeah, thanks, Kath.
So, Phil, can we just start by telling us a little bit about how you started sailing? What are your earliest recollections of being on the water and being at Sandringham?
I can't remember my earliest recollection because I wasn't born, but because my parents used to come down and sail here. We had a small 14-foot boat and then a 28-foot yawl. That was probably my first recollection of sailing at about the age of 3 or 4. My parents had followed in, my father had followed in his father's footsteps because he was a member of Port Phillip Yacht Club and then later Sandringham Yacht Club. So I didn't have a lot of say in it. It just came down and mucking around in boats. We went on from there to sailing in off the beach in the international cadet class.
Okay, so really generations of Sandringham membership right back to the very start in your family.
Yes. My grandson is now the 5th generation who's joined of Strongs in the club.
So thinking back to those days of off the beach and sailing cadets, what was the club like? What was the sailing like? What was different and what's still the same?
The fun bit in sailing is still the same, which is the most important thing. The club, the off the beach building, was a small weatherboard building with a briefing room and a canteen run by the Mothers Auxiliary. And we had ramps down to the water because there wasn't a sandy beach like there is now. It hadn't silted up by then. So you had to launch your boats through the Black Death, which is some wonderful stuff, the nice rotting seaweed. It was a great place to just play around on the weekends and things like that. We came every day, Saturdays and Sundays. It was great.
Fabulous. Thinking back to that time, I know that you were involved in a very important part of Off the Beach, which is the Sandringham Metung partnership and that Easter regatta, pretty much right from the start. Can you tell us a little bit more about the early days of Metung?
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about that. Anyway, yes, some of them we can. The early days of Metung, of course, we used to, whereas in the 60s, and we'd go down and Mum and Dad would drive us down with the boat on the roof of the car and we'd drop the boat off in Bull's shipyard and we'd go around and then they'd throw us out at the yacht club because we all slept underneath the yacht club on stretchers and that thing, all the boys did. And there was a few girls still sailing or were sailing about that time. And then they left us to our own devices under the guidance of whoever was the junior club captain. So there was a lot of fun and mischief was got up to at the time, I think. Yeah. And it's continued on, thankfully, and I'm still involved with the Metung Regatta to this day, which is it's a wonderful place to go. It's formed great friendships with the Metung people from Metung and the people from Sandringham Yacht Clubs. Yeah,
and certainly I think an amazing part of our culture that lives on and is being passed on, each generation of young sailors often, have some first adventures there and some first experiences and it's very dear to them even as they become adults. Phil, talk a little bit about some of the boats that you've really enjoyed sailing on, the different types of boats. I know you're very involved or have been involved in the 14-foot skiffs as well, but what are the boats that you've enjoyed sailing the most, from your early days right up until now?
Well, International Cadets obviously was the first, and that was and they're singularly the best two-handed training class in the world. Anyone that comes out of there will have the seamanship skills they require to sail anywhere and with anyone, which I think there was a great boat and a great foundation for some great sailors in this club. After cadets, I sailed Diamond for a little while, about a couple of years, and then eventually got into 14-foot skiffs and sailed 14-foot skiffs for the last 40 years. And finally now thinking about it might be time to stop.
Oh gosh, I think it's amazing. They're very physical boats.
Yes, yeah, a great boat to sail. I mean, it's tremendously demanding in terms of just keeping it all together. Sailing with another person in a similar sort of in that sort of boat, getting a good skipper crew combination is absolutely the ultimate thing you need to have.
Great, thank you. And you also have a family boat that I believe was your dad's that's still here in the club.
Yes, the last boat we had was a 46-foot Carboneer Seabird 2, and that we bought the shell for in about 1976, and then over 2 or 3 years fitted it out, and then that was the last we saw of Mum and Dad. They went cruising every year to Tonga and Fiji and up the Whitsundays and that sort of thing. So yeah, and we've still got it today, sort of thing. So it's not going as far as it used to, but maybe it should.
Well, there we go. There's a thought. Phil, you've been really actively involved in Off the Beach for many, many years and are still a really, strong supporter of that program. But the other piece that is really important to you is your involvement in the Heritage Committee, and you've recently been appointed as the club historian. Tell me a little bit about why that's important to the club and why you enjoy being involved in that part of our club so much.
Summed up probably pretty much as culture and the reason for being here. The reason that any of this exists is for young people to come along and get involved and start sailing and learn about sailing, learn about boats, where they go from there, whether they become fishermen, motorboaties or cruising yachtsmen or international racing yachtsmen. That's up to them. But the Off the Beach is really the foundation of our membership, and we really need to have that as a very, very strong base. If we don't have those young junior members joining and coming through, there's no reason to have this club. There'll be no one standing here in 60, 70 years' time if we don't. So it's really, really important. So that's why I'm so passionate about Off the Beach. And the history side of it, well, that also is preserving the history and so that the people coming through, the generations that come through, can see who was here, what they did beforehand, and how the club was built, and the boats that we sailed, and all those sorts of things. I think it's important to preserve.
Absolutely, thank you, Phil. You've made many contributions to Sandringham and were awarded a life membership a number of years ago in recognition of that. What are you most proud of in terms of what you've contributed at Sandringham?
Oh, that's a very hard question. Nearly impossible. I think the Off the Beach side of my time in Off the Beach was, and what we managed to build. There was a number of people involved in the early days when we started Sail Sandy, which was the brainchild of Terry Hall and Mark Foster. Taking that to the regatta that it is today with Steve Orlick, who was probably my right-hand man, sort of thing, my brother-in-law, just in case no one knew that. And building the Off the Beach and building the classes in Off the Beach and the numbers in Off the Beach, getting the parents involved, which is one of the most important things. If you don't have the parents, you don't have the children necessarily. Go hand in hand. So that's the time spent in Off the Beach has been the key, and developing that area and the things that we achieved there, I think were very, very good. The other side of the thing is all about sailing.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing contribution. I know when we first joined Off the Beach, you were one of the first people to welcome us and encourage us and our children to be involved. So you've been a member of Sandringham for how many years now?
I don't know.
You don't know? Quite a few.
Since I was 12,
Since you were
because that's
12.
when the age where you were allowed to join.
Okay.
As I said, I've been here since before I was
Yeah.
born, but
Yeah.
yes, you weren't allowed to be a member until you were 12
okay.
and could swim 50 yards.
Okay,
Sort of thing.
all right. So thinking back on that lifetime of involvement, you know, what do you value most about Sandringham and the opportunities you've had here?
The people. The people. So, one, family. My friend and partner, wife, Carolyn's been involved with me for 50 years nearly. And we've been involved in the off the beach. We've brought through 3 children through sailing, through off the beach and that sort of thing. Like watching all of the kids evolve, it's great to see how good a sailors they become. As I always say, better than I'll ever hope to be. And a couple of them actually are. And so I see that as probably one of the great things that's sort of with the club. The other side is the friendships and being here for so long. There are families we used to knock around with round the yard when we were kids, sort of thing, doing not much, getting up to mischief and getting into trouble from old Eric Mackenzie and that sort of thing. Was be the Vickery boys and the McGeochs and the Allseps, and so great families within the club, all good sailors and that sort of thing. Now sailing in, going in the latter life, sailing in keel boats, sort of thing. Heaven forbid, I never thought I'd ever sail on a keel boat. Now sailing a keel boats, I look down the boat and there's everyone down the boat sitting on the side of the boat. They're the guys that I grew up sailing with over in that off the beach area. That's pretty special. That you can't buy.
Absolutely. Well, Philip, thank you so much for your contribution to the club. I know that the legacy of the Strong family is very strong and has had such a significant impact on the life and the journey of this club. Thank you for your contribution and thank you for speaking with me today.
Yeah, thanks, Kath. Appreciate it.